All right, this is going to be the second video for notes. What notes am I on? Notes 8? Notes 8. We're going to continue working on proportions, but here's the deal. This time they're in word problem form. So you are going to have to create the proportion to then solve. So for problem number 5, if we take a read through on it, I'm going to grab a highlighter here so I can kind of figure out what's important. It says Earl can type 80 words in 5 minutes, so that is his rate. How long would it take him to type 400 words? And the how long part is the question that we're asking. All right. So you have a couple options here, but ultimately you're dealing with two things. You're dealing with how many words he has and how much time. So I'm going to just go in order, and I'm going to write a proportion that is set up as words over minutes. Now, you could do minutes over words. You could, in your proportion, do both words on one side and minutes on the other. You've got lots of options here. But I'm going to try to just stay kind of with what's written. So let's see what we got here. We have 80 words in 5 minutes. That's what we started with. And then how long would it take him to type 400 words? So 400 words goes in the numerator. Get back to pen here. So 400 over the how long is the thing I don't know, right? That's what we're trying to figure out. So we now have 80 over 5 equals 400 over x. Now, just like we saw proportions with cross multiplication, hey, look, we're still going to cross multiply. But because I'm dealing with some larger numbers and I'm not working with a calculator, right? I'm just going to go ahead and cross multiply. So what did I do? I took 400 times 5, but I just wrote down 400 times 5. And then on the other side, I have 80 times x. So there's my crosses, so 80x. And then to get x by itself, I divided both sides by 80. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this mess before I do any kind of multiplication. All right. So the first thing I notice, I'm going to kind of zoom in here a little bit, is that both 480 end in a 0. So I can simply eliminate one of the zeros. The idea behind it is what I just did mathematically is I divided both of them by 10. So 400 divided by 10 would be 40. Oh, look, here's 40. And 80 divided by 10 is just 8. So there's my 8. Okay, now I'm going to keep going. All right, I've got, let's see, 5 here, 40 here, and 8 here, right? Those are my little numbers I'm working with. And what I'm always looking to do with this simplification is anything in the numerator, I want to simplify with something in the denominator. Well, I only have an 8. So let's see what I got. If I take 8 and I divide it into 40, that gets me a 5. And 8 divided by 8 is 1. All right, so we're going to say that x is equal to, and let's figure out what's left here after I've crossed out a bunch of stuff. Let's see, 5 times 5 in the numerator, so that's going to be 25. And the denominator is simply the number 1. I don't care about the number 1 because dividing by 1 does nothing. So my answer here is going to be 25 minutes. All right, so if his rate is, right, words over minutes, he can type 80 words in 5 minutes. It would take him 25 minutes to type a total of 400 words. All right, so Earl's not the fastest typist, but you have successfully set up and solved a proportion if you can do that part. All right, so that's number 5 here. Let's talk about number 6. A car can travel, let me grab a highlighter here. A car can travel 250 miles on 10 gallons of gas. So there's my rate of some kind. And then at the same rate, how far, so there's my question, that's the how far part, can the car travel on just 2 gallons of gas? And I'm a visual person. I'm not going to draw cars and gallons of gas and, anything like that. But what I mean by visual is I'm going to set up and remind myself I'm going to create miles over gallons. Right? And I'm just taking it right from this first sentence here, right? Miles and gallons. And so when I write my proportion now and I say, okay, miles, well, 250 miles in 10 gallons of gas. And this is going to be equal to, that's the at the same rate part, right? That car's traveling same rate. It's not using more or less gas. okay, per gallon or per mile. And it says, how far can it travel? Well, the how far part, right, that's my question, is that's going to be my miles. So there's my X over 2 gallons of gas. So I've set up the proportion. That equal sign in the middle is horrible looking, so let me kind of shift it over a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to cross multiply. Okay, so if I cross here and cross here, we've got 250 times 2 equals 10 times X. And I'm going to divide both sides by 10. All right, so let's see what I can simplify. Well, easiest one here is 250 simplified with the 10. If I divide both by 10, 10 divided by 10 is 1. 250 divided by 10 is just, I'm going to put off to the side here, 25. All right, so cleaning up and multiplying what I have left here, I've got 25 times 2. I ran out of space here. That's going to be 50. X, and then in the denominator is just 1. Again, when we have that denominator of 1, dividing by 1 doesn't do anything. All right, so how far, and I kind of ran out of space, so I'll stick it underneath here. It's going to be 50 miles. All right, so if the car had 2 gallons of gas, that could travel 50 miles. All right, so that's number 6. All right, number 7, I'm going to grab my highlighter again and highlight what I think is important. Okay, we've got the ratio of cats to rats was 2 to 5. The little colon here, the double dots in the middle, you just read that as the word 2, 2 to 5. Okay, now this one's a little bit different because I already read ahead a little bit. It says if there were a total of 21. Now that 21 isn't cats, that's not 21 rats, that's 21 total critters with all the cats and the rats, okay? And then I want to know how many specifically were cats. So I can't just set up, if I just wrote, okay, cats over rats, rats, there we go. That's an A. We're going to call that an A and call it good. Okay, so if I did cats over rats, I could do 2 over 5, right? 2 over 5, awesome. But then where do I fit 21 in? Because 21 isn't the cats, 21's not the rats, it's the total. And no, you're not going to make a triple decker, cats, rats, and so 2 over 5 over 7 over 20. No, don't do that. That just looks horrible. Make that go away. All right. Speaking of things that are going to go away, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that little fraction there. Because what I'm going to do for this one is I don't have just 2 things. I have actually 3 things. I have cats, I have rats, and then I have the total number of whatever critters we're talking about here, okay? So make a little tic-tac-toe board. Okay, so based off simply the ratio, okay, my ratio of cats to rats was 2 to 5. Well, if I have 2 cats and 5 rats, that means I have a total of 7. Okay, just from the ratio. 2 cats, 5 rats, total of 7 animals. I'll stop calling them critters. And then we've got a total of 21. All right, so total here for 21. And then how many were cats? Well, I don't know what goes in that box, so that's going to be my X. And what I'm going to do is kind of ignore that middle one because I don't need the rats anymore. And I'm going to grab my information from the top row and the bottom row. And so writing the proportion here, I've got 2 cats out of a total of 7 animals equals X cats over 21 animals. Okay, and so that's the proportion that I can set up for that problem where it's not, again, just 2 things in the problem. Because I mentioned the word total here, I've actually got 3 things. All right, so let's do some cross multiplication. And I'm going to go to the side here. So 2 times 21 equals 7x. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 7. So that's gone. All right, so simplifying before I do any multiplication. 21 divided by 7 makes 3. 7 divided by 7 is 1. And so picking up the 2 here and the 3 here, that's going to be x equals 6. And that was cats. Okay. So that one a little bit different than the first 2, but still in the world of proportions. You can set up the little tic-tac-toe board and solve it. All right, and then the last one here, sliding on up. So the ratio of butter to sugar in the recipe, okay, let me grab my highlighter. Okay, butter to sugar, so 2 to 3. And then I'm going to give you, we're going to use 6 cups of butter. And I want to figure out how many cups of sugar. So this goes back to the first 2 kinds of problems, right? The first 2 that we did, where we've only got 2 things. We've got butter and we've got sugar. And that's all. It doesn't talk about a total, it doesn't talk about any other ingredients. So that's what I'm going to set it up off of. So if we do the ratio of butter to sugar, so 2 over 3 equals, let's see, butter is on top, so 6 cups of butter to how many cups of sugar? I do not know. But that's the proportion. Apparently I'm picking different colors, but that's the proportion that we can set up. And then from there, let's talk about the cross products. Let's do 2 times x here, and then 3 times 6 here. So 3 times 6 equals 2 times x. Order doesn't matter if you put the 2x on the left side and the 3 times 6 on the other side. All is good. Just please don't write it as a fraction, because when you cross multiply, the fractions are gone. However, we are still going to divide here, so dividing by 2. And if I simplify first, let's see, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So let's see, 3 times 3 is 9. So 9 cups of sugar. Sure, we'll write it all out. Okay. All right, so that's the end of problem number 8 for Notes 8. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, let me know, and we'll see you in the next video.